Hi, welcome to our video on transferring 8mm film to VHS. My name is Dave Welch and I'm the owner of Shining Star Video Productions, the video production company that made this video. Over the years I've had a lot of experience in transferring 8mm film, so I'm going to pass along some of those tips and secrets to you in this video. You know, some of you may think there's just one right way to transfer film to video, but actually you do have a lot of options in this process. Some of the options we're going to discuss is choosing the correct projector. Do you want a regular 8mm or super 8mm? Do you want a fixed speed projector or variable speed projector? We're going to talk about saving money on buying projectors. I know a lot of you maybe only want to transfer a few reels of film and don't want to spend a lot of money on the job. So we're going to talk about tips on saving money on purchasing projectors and replacement bulbs, which can be quite expensive. Then if you look in front of me, I have 3 different camcorders, and you know you can use various kinds of camcorders to do the job, and I'm going to talk about the pluses and minuses of each camcorder and let you decide which one you want to use. And then some of you may be wondering if you need to hook up a TV or monitor while you're doing the transfer process, and I'm going to talk about why I recommend you use a monitor and what's the best way to position it so it doesn't interfere with the film transfer. When you're transferring, a lot of times you're going to be dealing with old film. It might be 40, 50 years old, and the film that age can get quite brittle, and oftentimes you're going to have breaks in the film. So we're going to discuss in this video a little bit about splicing film, and I have in front of me a couple of film splicers, and also even adding leader onto the front of the film, and why it's important to have leader on the beginning of each film you put in the projector. Now I know most of you are just transferring film maybe on your own, and you may be just transferring a few reels, but some of you may be thinking about going into a part-time business transferring film. So we're going to be talking about the business aspects, such as pricing your services, selling extras with your product, adding music, what type of music you can add legally and what type you can't, whether or not you should use a telecine. Some of you maybe have never heard the word telecine before. It's spelled T-E-L-E-C-I-N-E. I'm going to explain what a telecine device is and if you should purchase one if you're going to go into this professionally. And whether you're going into the business or not, most of you are going to wonder what's the best type of surface to project your film onto. Actually, there's 3 or 4 options you can use for surfaces. So we're going to discuss each surface option and you can decide which one you want. And then we're going to set up one of these projectors and one of these camcorders, and we're going to actually transfer some film onto video. I'm going to load a reel of film. Here's one right here. I'm going to load that onto one of these projectors, and I'm going to actually show you the process of transferring the film. And while we're doing it, we're going to discuss such issues as white balance. Should you use a manual focus or automatic focus on your camcorder? Should you use manual shutter speed or automatic shutter speed? And different issues like that. So we're actually going to transfer some film. And when we're done, one issue that you're probably going to be wondering about is how to title your finished product. Most of you are going to want to add titles to your video. And you can either do it with expensive equipment or you can do it for mere pennies. And I'm going to show you both ways and you can decide which way you want to choose. So we have a lot of ground to cover and we better get started on the first lesson, which is going to be picking your projector to begin with. So stick with me and we'll move right on to the first lesson. Okay, in this first lesson, we're going to talk about getting the right projector that's just right for you. Now basically, you have 2 different types of projectors to choose from. You have a regular 8 and you have a super 8 projector. Now what's going to determine which type of projector you purchase is going to be mainly the type of film you already own. If you own mostly regular 8mm film, then you want to get a regular 8mm projector. If you own super 8mm film, you want to get a super 8 projector. Now, if you look in front of me, I have 5 different projectors. I have on my left, your right, a super 8 projector. This is a regular 8 projector. Let's skip this for a minute because this is a 16mm and not too many of you have 16mm film. Here's a Super 8 projector, and here's what's called a Dual 8 projector. Now this dual-8 presents another option. Now you're probably wondering, what is a dual-8 projector? Well, the word dual implies that it'll play both regular 8 and Super 8 millimeter film. Now how does it do that? Well, a dual-8 projector, unlike these other projectors, doesn't have sprockets in it. Instead of sprockets, it has little metal chutes that the film rides over, and the film is actually pulled through the projector by the reels, and therefore you can put either 8 millimeter regular or Super 8 millimeter film through this and it'll run just fine. What I would recommend is, if you have both types of film at home, Super and regular 8, you look for one of these dual 8 millimeter projectors. Actually, they're not much more expensive than the regular projectors, so I would consider that. Now another choice you have is whether to get a fixed shutter speed projector or a variable shutter speed projector. Now most projectors you look at will be fixed speed. In other words, they run at 18 or 24 frames per second. Why do you need a variable shutter speed projector? Well, I'll let you in on a little dirty secret if you haven't discovered it already. Video and film do not run at the same speeds. Okay? Video runs at about 30 frames per second. NTSC video runs at 30 frames per second. Film runs at either 18 or 24 frames per second. So there's a different, what they call, frame rate. Why should you be concerned about that? Well, having a different frame rate, sometimes when you're transferring film to video, as you're videotaping the film, you'll be videotaping the spaces between the frames of the film, which will come out as little black bars, or most people call it flickering. I'm sure most of you have seen film that's been transferred improperly, that you see a constant black flickering throughout the film. That was caused by improper speeds. So the way you can get around that is to purchase an adjustable shutter speed or variable shutter speed film projector. Now, as you might guess, since they're adjustable, they're going to be a little more expensive than the fixed speed projector. But in the next lesson, we're going to talk about purchasing these projectors quite inexpensively. Now, when you purchase an adjustable shutter speed projector, what you want to watch out for is to make sure it's truly an infinite speed projector. Now some people will try to sell you an adjustable speed projector that has a knob on it that maybe only allows you to choose 4 or 5 different speeds. That's different than an infinite speed projector. And the reason you want an infinite speed projector is because you can precisely tune the frame rate to match up with your video and get rid of the flickering. Okay? In other words, as you slowly turn the knob on the projector, you'll be switching, changing it from, say, 18 frames per second to 18 and a half to 19 to 19 and a half in little increments, and eventually you'll see the flickering disappear in your camcorder. So make sure you get an infinite speed adjustable projector. Especially if you go into the business of doing this, it's going to make your job a lot easier. Now in the next lesson, we're going to move on to